Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hattrick's Unofficial Flyers podcast. I'm Rick Mullen. I will be your host today for the show. And we went down to the game last night, me and my son, to watch the Flyers play the Columbus Blue Jackets. And, I thought that it was going to be a really good game. The Flyers lost to Columbus, I believe, in overtime last game. They played them. I think they were winning like 2-0. And, Columbus came back, tied, and then won in overtime. So I really thought after taking that loss last time we saw them this game last night was going to be a real banger. It was going to be a heck of a game. Flyers were going to have something to prove and come out and really bring it to them. And in all honesty, they did. They played really well that first period. They went out, they went after them, they were hitting, they were shooting. They outplayed Columbus that first period. Sean Couturier, he looked really well. He went out and he smoked Marchment on the boards, and I think it's Marchment, right? Smoked Marchment on the boards, knocked him to his knees. I didn't think the guy was going to recover. He looked a little dizzy to me. Skates to the front of the net. Somebody puts the puck on net. The rebound falls in the back in the open crease, and Coots stuffs it. And it was good to see Coots drive that net and knock that rebound in. And right after that play, Marchment went back down the tunnel and he left the bench. And I thought, good, he's out of this game, but he came back, unfortunately. But it was a good first period. It was 1-0 Flyers going into the second, and they were playing hard. They were looking good. And totally different game when the second period started. Flyers looked discombobulated. They didn't know how to pass to each other. They were trying to do stick-to-stick passes and missing. They just couldn't find anything tape to tape. And Columbus did. Columbus bought it, and the Flyers struggled. And the Flyers started chasing again. Again, I don't know if that's a system issue, if Talk told them to sit back and play defense, but their entire system changed. And, we paid the price. The Flyers paid the price. They went down 2-1 in the second. So total stats for the game, Columbus had 19 shots to Philly's 26. I think a lot of those shots came at the end of the game when the Flyers pulled the goalie, pulled Vlad with 3 minutes left in the game. The Flyers were down 3-1, I believe. And, they did come back and score. Jamie came back and scored, and there was about a minute left, and the Flyers couldn't put another one home to tie. So they ended up losing 3-2. Hits were 25 Columbus Blue Jackets to 13 Philadelphia Flyers. Penalties were 11 minutes to Philly, 9 minutes to Columbus. Face-off percentage went 52% to Flyers versus 48% to Columbus. More things happen that, in Bizarro's world here for me, and Tocchet is still making decisions that I don't like, and I guess I'm never going to get on the same page with this guy because he baffles me again. You go out and play 3 games out in the West Coast. You're short players. Andre steps up into this and he plays big role minutes. He's playing defense and he's playing winger. He was asked a lot to play and fill some holes, and he did real well, and he stepped up and did exactly what was asked of him. Flyers come out winners in all 3 games. And then lo and behold, we come home and Andre sits. Grabenkin's out. They don't play Grabenkin. They put Juleson in, who's like a turnover machine, and we lose. We lose 3-2. Terrible decisions again. Andre should be playing well before Juleson. I don't get it. I don't know what he sees. Juleson must have some dirt on Talk, from Vancouver, and that's the only reason he's on this team. Or Talk is just completely blindsided and doesn't see anything. He's got visors on. He doesn't see it. He just doesn't see it, and it has to be it. He doesn't see it. He likes Juleson because he's a hard hitter, and he doesn't see the mistakes the guy makes. He doesn't see how much better the team moves the puck when Andre's in the lineup. Anyhow, it doesn't make any sense. I did pick on Talk a lot about, in-game changes and not being able to coach on the fly. And, this time around, he did. Talk, he actually did. He changed the lines up. He tried to move a winger here, move a winger there. When we got into the third period, he ended up putting like the top line out. I think it was like what Zegras, Tippett, and Konechny. They were playing together for a bit. So he did try to juggle lines. He tried to make something happen, but the Flyers couldn't. And again, maybe these things were more glaring and in your face because the talent on this team isn't talent enough. They're just not enough to score, and it's rare when they score. Yeah, it just is. It's just rare. Seeing a big game like this last night, just again, I expected more from them. I saw no heart and soul. I saw nothing after that first period that these guys wanted to win. The hits are disappointing, and I know, someone's gonna say, "Oh, it's hits." Yeah, hits dictate play. They just do. Hits do dictate play, and in this scenario, to be out hit at home 25-13 when you're fighting to get into the playoffs, that shows like these guys are scared. They have no heart. They don't want to bang. They don't want to do what it takes. And with that kind of core, that's not ever going to win because when you ever get to the playoffs, you got to play hard, heavy minutes. If they can't do it now when a game counts towards getting into the playoffs, they're not going to do it in the playoffs. So there's a lot to be said here that, these guys just need to follow through. They need to hit. Maybe if they hit a little more, things would happen. And a prime example of that is picking on Couturier all year that he's slow and he can't do this and he's not the player he was and he should be on the fourth line. And you know what? Couturier buried Marchman on the boards. He caused a turnover with that hit, and it also turned into a goal merely from a big hit, a big clean hit. And that's what the Flyers should have been doing. They should have been burying these guys, slowing them down, making that other team fear getting hit so they throw a quick pass or a bad pass and make a mistake. Or they try to skate out of the zone and they can't. They get knocked off the puck and we steal it and we create something. I'm just not happy with how they played last night. I'm sure they're not happy either. But that's just what they did. So is there still a way to the playoffs? Yes. I think we had like a 12.7% chance or something like that I saw the other day, and I think it's down to like 5.2% or 5.7% now. We're still chasing some teams. Blue Jackets we're probably not chasing anymore. The wild card spot right now is Boston Bruins, I believe, and the two wild cards, Boston Bruins in the first one and Ottawa Senators are in the second one. The New York Islanders are right behind them with 85 points. Detroit's right behind them with 84 points, and the Flyers are right behind them with 80 points. So we're playing Detroit, three times towards the end of this year. We could make up some room on them, maybe 6 points possibly, but we still have to try to catch Ottawa or the Bruins. And, is it possible? Sure, but it's going to be hard. And they can't show up like they did last night. If they play any of the remaining games like they did last night, it's over. It's over. So anyhow, with that said, it was a tough game. It was a sad game to watch, merely because, again, they should have came out with much more heart. I remember days past when these Flyers were behind and they knew like this was a big game. They might not have won the game, but they had some shots, they had a couple goals, and they'd have physical play. Like you could tell they were in the game. They were cycling, they were skating, they were hitting, they were trying. This team don't hit. This team don't hit. They don't hit half as near as much as they should. When you don't have skill, you got to slow the other team down. You got to create things off of hits. And again, if they're not willing to hit, that's part of this game. When it's a big game on the line, you got to set the precedence. You got to have the other team nervous. You have to. When Couturier hit that guy in the corner, Marchman in the boards, that created a play. He made a mistake. He got hit and he made a mistake. And, they should have been doing more of that, but no one did. Like nobody did. I was sitting there at the game watching, thinking, they come in, they forecheck, and right at the last minute, the guy gets rid of the puck, but it's still close enough where we could have banged them. You know what I mean? Send a message, and we didn't. We just peel off and skate back chasing the puck. I wish we had some of the heart from the old Flyers, because I think it's needed here. I think the Flyers need to start being a little more physical with these teams, making these teams earn a win. and not just hand it to them. And and we did. And what I mean by handing it to them too is we just handed it to them. Like we couldn't play offense. We couldn't get anything offensively going in that second and third period until we pulled our goalie and went 6-on-5. The Flyers were trying to tape the tape pass and they couldn't. They would miss. They would mishandle the puck. They wouldn't be able to skate in the zones again. And we just gave possession time away to Columbus. And if you can't control the puck yourself, you're chasing a game. What's the best way to get it back? And it's forecheck and hit. So if you can't puck possess, you should be hitting to try to get plays, you know, to try to make or create plays. And if you're just chasing and circling and not hitting and chasing and circling, just a matter of time before they score. And they did. They scored, they scored two real quick and then went up with another one, 3-1 at one point. So ugly game for the Flyers. It's good to put this one behind us again. And, I said this last time we played the Blue Jackets that, they're going to put that one behind them, and the next one they're going to come at them, and they didn't. They didn't come at them. So disappointing for sure. I hate to see it, and it's a loss that we might look back on and say that's the one that broke the back here. So with that said, that's it. Real quick review of the game. Flyers got to get it together here, and I'm not sure if they can. Tocchet needs to do better with who he puts on the ice. I mean, Jolson over Andre makes no sense at this point. Zero, just zero. The kid should be getting more time. It's the end of the year. We're probably not making the playoffs. Jolson in doesn't help you make the playoffs. Andre in may make you help the playoffs, which he showed he can do. He can bring that puck up the ice. He can be one more guy who can skate the puck in the zone possibly, or make a good pass, or get the speed breakout that Jolson can't do. Gurbenkin, last night's game was made for Gurbenkin. Didn't play him. It should have been a grittier game. Gurbenkin's a grittier player. Didn't play him. And bad decisions, I think, all around for Tocchet. Bad decisions by the players. Bad execution by the players. And it turned into a loss. So anyhow, let's look at the next one that we have coming up here tomorrow night. And we'll do hopefully another show, another episode to recap that game. And I will be down at that one as well. So hopefully they play better, and go Flyers.